we are doing this. So, defining ignorance is done by these Mula Vidyavadis. They define ignorance as a positive thing, meaning something tangible, having its own identity. But ignorance as well known in the world, everybody knows ignorance, not as some dark thing. Ignorance is not at all popular in this world, as it's not known in this world as something, a dark layer or anything. It is always understood by everybody as absence of knowledge. Absence of knowledge can go by presence of knowledge, bas. That is the real opposition. Absence of understanding goes with the presence of understanding. If there is a presence of ignorance which would work against gaining knowledge, because it has its own identity. If darkness were to have its own identity, it would fight against the light. It would try to, then there will be a friction between light and darkness, like love and hate. If you hate somebody, it is not going to be easy again for you to love him. Why? Because the hatred also works against love, a friction between the two. But you don't have that kind of friction between non-understanding and understanding. Therefore, the opposition is not between the positive ignorance and knowledge, understanding. The opposition is between non-understanding and understanding. In fact, if we go one step ahead, the opposition is between misunderstanding and right understanding. Right understanding negates misunderstanding, or understanding negates non-understanding. But there is no such a thing called right understanding or understanding negating a positive layer called ignorance. Therefore, if we define ignorance as positive, then it would be unnegatable. It would assert itself. Because we have seen all pairs of opposites in this world. Whether it is love and hate, or compassion or cruelty, gain or loss, nobody can dominate the other. Everybody has, love has its good patch, its bad patch. Hate has its good patch and its bad patch. Sometimes the hatred rules, sometimes the love rules. Sometimes the gain rules, sometimes the loss rules. Wherever there is a pair of opposites, well, ever there is a friction. If you look at ignorance as a positive thing, then you are looking at ignorance and knowledge as a pair of opposites. And once you look at ignorance and knowledge as a pair of opposites, then there will be eternal friction. Therefore, I can give enough number of arguments to show that ignorance is not a thing opposed to knowledge. Ignorance is just absence of knowledge. Ignorance is just absence of knowledge. Darkness is not something that opposes light. Darkness, just absence of light. Therefore, it should be very easy for you to create light and dispel darkness. Why? It doesn't oppose the generation of light. Darkness doesn't oppose. It doesn't, resist the creation of light. Darkness doesn't resist the creation of light. Ignorance can't resist the process of understanding. Why? It doesn't have its own identity. If it had its own identity, then ignorance and knowledge would also be a pair of opposites. In which case you can't gain knowledge, because ignorance also would fight. In fact, sometimes love negates hate, sometimes hate negates love. In the same manner, sometimes the knowledge would negate ignorance, and sometimes the ignorance can again come back and negate knowledge. Why not? If you say no, ignorance is negated for good, why? If you accept it as a positive thing, no, then it is not negated forever. If you accept it as absence of knowledge, then it is negated forever. Knowledge negates ignorance if ignorance is not a positive thing. Knowledge cannot ignorance forever if ignorance is a positive thing, a material thing. And therefore ignorance cannot be defined as the material for the error. You cannot define ignorance as the material for the error. And what is the material for the error? The truth. Truth is the material. A fact is the material. It is the rope that is seen as snake. It is not the rope ignorance that is seen as snake. Ram, 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 Ram. It is the rope that is seen as snake, not rope ignorance. Rope is seen as snake due to rope ignorance. That's a different thing. Rope is seen as snake due to rope ignorance. Not rope ignorance is seen as snake. Similarly, Brahman is seen as Jiva due to ignorance about Brahmatvam. Not the ignorance about Brahma becomes Jiva. Ignorance about Brahman doesn't become the Jagat. Brahman looks Jagat, not ignorance about Brahman looks Jagat. Brahman looks Jagat. Bhagavan looks Jagat due to certain non-understanding about Brahman. If you dwell on this particular beautiful point, that ignorance doesn't look as the Jagat. Ignorance doesn't look like me. Truth looks like me. Truth looks like a human being because of ignorance. Because I don't see my Swarupa as Brahman due to lack of knowledge. Due to a lack of knowledge that I am Brahman, I look at Jiva. Then, my goodness, there itself the problem also gets solved. It is the truth that looks like Jiva. Therefore Mahavakya is possible. The word Brahman. If ignorance was the material for you, then what would be the Mahavakya? The word ignorance. I have been hearing it right from childhood anyway. And I come to the Shastra to get over all that complex. And here also, you say that ignorance, the what? What do I get out of it? I have been suffering all these complexes. Everywhere I am told, तुमको कुछ मालूम ही नहीं, तुमको कुछ मालूम नहीं, तुमको कुछ मालूम नहीं, कुछ जानता ही नहीं, मम्मी से जानता नहीं, पापा से जानता नहीं, sister of course says तुमको कुछ मालूम ही नहीं. And then friends also repeat. And then I get really so frightened about myself, maybe I will come to Vedanta, maybe I will be able to hear better things about myself. And here he says, तुम अनादि ignorance. At least when they say you don't know anything, they don't say you don't know anything right from the beginning. That qualification, at least they don't give anadi, they don't use. But here you are using anadi. You are anadi ignorant. Understand? You educated people, at least those who have have the opportunity to understand this beautiful point, understand it. Let not the world understand. It is not ignorance that looks the universe. It is not the Maya that looks like the universe. It is Bhagavan that looks like the universe, otherwise called Maya. Don't say Maya looks like the universe. Wrong. Truth looks like the universe. And when it looks like the universe, due to ignorance, that universe, Brahman looking like the universe, is called Maya. That different look of truth is Maya. A distorted look of truth is Maya. And therefore, why is it there? Due to ignorance, due to non-understanding. And don't say ignorance is there due to Maya. No, Maya is there due to ignorance. Maya falls within the realm of ignorance. Therefore here now I have given you, understand this. Tadupam shreyaskamaihi upeksham sarvasya anatma prapanchasya adhyasikatvam upavarnayatum bhashya pravrittiriti atirohitam. Up to this we have seen tad upavarnane chat prayojanam sakala sansarasya mithyatva siddhi jnana bhadyatva siddhischeti sarva sampratipannametat. This also we have seen. It's well known that by defining samsara as an error, then it becomes negatable by knowledge. What is jnana bhadyam? Understand. Jnana bhadyam means correctable by right knowledge. It is only the wrong knowledge, not the material for the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge corrects the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge corrects the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge corrects the wrong knowledge. The knowledge that it is rope corrects the idea that it is snake. And if there is some positive ignorance, which is the material for the snake, that cannot be corrected. Thinking can be corrected, material cannot be corrected. Material cannot be corrected. Matter cannot be corrected. If matter is also thinking that it can be corrected, then it can be corrected. When you wake up, the dream gets corrected because there are no things, there are only perceptions, visions. Dream is a vision, not a thing. Therefore, when you wake up from the dream, that vision goes. Similarly, samsara also is a vision. Avidya also is a, samsara is a vision in the truth. It's a vision, it's a perception. I use the word perception. It's a vision. It's an illusory vision, wrong vision. And now here it says, tad upavarnane jat prayojanam sakala sansarasya mithyatva siddhi jnana bhadyatva. Let's pick up this particular phrase. Jnana bhadyam means negatable by knowledge. It's called jnana bhadyam. What is it that is negated by right knowledge? Wrong knowledge can go. Absence of right knowledge can go. Right knowledge can negate absence of right knowledge. Right knowledge can negate also the absence of knowledge born wrong knowledge. Right knowledge can go, the wrong knowledge, right knowledge can negate wrong knowledge, and that wrong knowledge is due to absence of right knowledge. That absence of right knowledge also is gone, let us say. Now, behind the wrong knowledge and behind the absence of right knowledge, if we are positing a positive thing called the material cause, then it cannot negate, because the right knowledge can negate only two things: wrong knowledge and absence of right knowledge. Bas. Behind the right knowledge and behind the absence of right knowledge, behind the wrong knowledge and behind the absence of the right knowledge, if you imagine some called upadana karanam, mula vidya, that material layer, that cannot go. Because there is no opposition between that material ignorance, that positive ignorance and right knowledge, there is no opposition. Right knowledge opposes the wrong knowledge. It negates the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge negates the absence of right knowledge. But if you imagine something else behind, that cannot go by right knowledge. That's why what is Jnanabhagyam is a matter for great inquiry by the scholars. What is it that the right knowledge negates? Can the right knowledge negate the truth? No. The right knowledge can negate a wrong knowledge about the truth. And the right knowledge can negate the absence of right knowledge. The right knowledge cannot negate the third thing, if you think there is any third thing. No. Right knowledge negates only two things: agrahanam and anyathagrahanam. And if you imagine the third thing, samshayagrahanam, that is also okay. Samshayagrahanam also is within anyathagrahanam. Therefore, samyagrahanam, samyajnanam negates the agrahanam, anyathagrahanam, samshayagrahanam, doubt, etc. It's all one adhyasa. Error means the error that is there due to right knowledge. That is the definition of an error. We don't have to unnecessarily posit two things, the reason for wrong knowledge and the wrong knowledge. Say wrong knowledge, the definition includes its reason. The definition of wrong knowledge includes its reason. What is a wrong knowledge? Wrong knowledge is that which is a distortion about the truth due to lack of right knowledge. That is why Bhashyakara defines adhyasa in three words: agrahanam, anyathagrahanam, samshayagrahanam. It is one adhyasa. What is adhyasa? Anyathagrahanam. Why it is there? Due to lack of agrahanam, due to lack of grahanam, samyagrahanam, due to agrahanam, due to absence of right knowledge. What is samshayagrahanam? It is a part of an error. It is only when you are and when you see the snake, when you see the rope as snake, within that error you can have a doubt: is it snake or something else? Is it true or not? Doubt is a part of an error. Doubt is a part of, it's a part of an error. Therefore, samshayagrahanam is within the anyathagrahanam. We don't have to even think about it. Adhyasa means anyathagrahanam, which is there due to agrahanam. Now, Mula Vidyavadis imagine that behind the anyathagrahanam, behind the agrahanam is the Mula Vidya, because of which there is agrahanam and anyathagrahanam. Just to see. There is a layer, there is a positive ignorance, because of which there is absence of knowledge about the truth. Truth is covered, or whatever, whether they use the word cover or not, doesn't matter. There is a positive ignorance which is jadatmakam. It is a trigunatmakam. It has got sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna. Ignorance is made of three gunas. And because of that three gunas, that triguna, this ignorance which has three gunas, because it transforms and becomes agrahanam, transforms and becomes anyathagrahanam, transforms and becomes the whole universe. Because ignorance is only nothing but error and absence of right knowledge and wrong knowledge. That's all ignorance is about. If you imagine behind absence of right knowledge, there is some kind of a positive layer, then that is not provable. It is not in evidence. So it's a speculated theory. Ignorance cannot be speculated. Like truth can't be speculated. The ignorance about the truth also cannot be speculated. It is evident. In fact, what is ignorance is evident to man. That is called loka prasiddha ajnana. Well known. Ignorance is well known as absence of knowledge, not presence of something. Ignorance is well known as absence of right knowledge, not knowledge, absence of right knowledge. Let us call it absence of right knowledge. Knowledge means absence, right knowledge. We can qualify it. Absence of right knowledge. Because of which there is wrong knowledge. So wrong knowledge and absence of right knowledge both together is what we call ignorance, or call it adhyasa, which is both get negated through right knowledge. Right knowledge negates wrong knowledge. Right knowledge of course negates the absence of right knowledge. And in addition to these two things, if you imagine something else, that cannot go by right knowledge. Therefore, देखो जी इसको कन्वे करना आसान नहीं है, ये पॉइंट. You go anywhere, such a mess. What is this? They read books, still they can't figure out. What does it mean? See, Mula Vidya, this particular author has made it very clear. It is not evident. Their definition of ignorance is not evident. That is why here it says, Tad upavarnane, then next one. Tadatra prakritam saprayojanam cha adhyasa upavarnanam vihaya aprakritam aprasiddham adhyasa upadanam ajnanam mrithaiva muthaiva varnade iti nishprayojanam tavad vyakhyanam. Up to this. Tadatra prakritam, this present definition, Bhashyakara's definition of ignorance and error, because why it is saprayojan, it is useful, because it's the right definition. Absence of right knowledge and then wrong knowledge, both together is call it ignorance, call it adhyasa. And this definition alone is evidence. This kind of ignorance alone is an evidence. And appreciating ignorance in this manner is useful because you can appreciate if ignorance is absence of right knowledge, if ignorance means wrong knowledge, then both can go through right knowledge. You will appreciate the value of right knowledge, that is the prayojana. You will appreciate the presence, you will appreciate the value of right knowledge. Therefore, tadatra prakritam saprayojanam cha adhyasa upavarnanam, the definition of adhyasa, vihaya, having renounced the present useful definition of adhyasa, the right definition of ignorance and error, vihaya, leaving out aprakritam, which is unevident, which is not the topic. Aprakritam means it's not under discussion. Aprakritam, and it is also not evident. Aprasiddham, it's not evident. Adhyasa upadanam and ajnanam, you are imagining an ignorance which is the material for adhyasa. Actually the material for adhyasa is the very truth. The truth, due to lack of right knowledge, looks the snake. Then therefore what is the material for the snake? The very truth. Similarly, it is the Brahman that is the material for the mind, the body and the rest of the universe. Looks like this Jagat due to Lack of right knowledge. Instead of appreciating Brahman as the material for everything, you are thinking Brahman is the ultimate material, but the immediate material is ignorance, as though they have got two materials. One is the changing material, the other is the unchanging material. As a right knowledge, it doesn't negate the material for the adhyasa. Listen to this statement again. Very great God. Right knowledge doesn't negate the material for the error. The right knowledge negates the reason for the error. The reason for the error, not the material. Right knowledge doesn't negate the rope. Right knowledge negates only the non-understanding about the rope. Right understanding negates the wrong understanding about the rope. I'm repeating so much, don't allow yourself to get bored. This is one thing. If you can follow this point very well and see this is right, you are a great person. Then you become Upasya Devata. Haji. You become an Acharya. Your entire Vedanta hangs on this one point, I'm telling you. What is it that looks like everything? It is such an unfortunate convention to think it is all ignorance. It is not ignorance. It is the truth looking like universe. That is why we say Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Bhagavan also says, Main to Kana Kana mein hu. All our beautiful statements, all Puranas, everything falls in its place. Everything falls in its place. It is not the ignorance that is looking like me and me, you and me and the universe. It is Brahman directly. Don't even say, Brahman is ultimate source. I say Brahman is the only source because we don't have an immediate source. The immediate source is Brahman for all the five elements. What is the immediate material for this name? Rope. And what is ultimate material? Rope. What is this immediate and ultimate? Short-term source and the long-term source. Because we are used to, short terms and long terms. Short-term investments and long-term investments. We get into that trap of our own habitual thinking. We get trapped by our own thinking. Well, that's why Bhagavan says, think rightly, liberate yourself. Think wrongly, trap yourself. Bas, apna marzi karo. Think rightly, liberate yourself. Think wrongly, trap yourself. That is why, that is the law. किसी के लिए गड्ढा खोदेंगे तो अपने लिए काम आ जाता है. हाँ जी, ये तो पक्का है. This is not some kind of blind belief. It's a pakka. It's a question of time. Principle can't be questioned. Length of time. Principle. It may take time. If you put water on fire, it may take time to become warm, but it is going to become warm. For a time लगेंगे, लेकिन होगा. That is why, because that is a principle. And if you go beyond Lakshmana Rekha, you will get into trouble. It may take time, like the present government. It is crossing the Lakshmana Rekha. And you will see. Bhagavan will function through the bosses. They will all be lynched to death. They will be lynched. The parliament will be garroted. I have no doubt if this continues like this, my goodness, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Educate the people talking like that, my God. Educate people. Don't think of your mother before you make a statement about a woman. Think of your mother. Your mother also is a woman. And therefore, coming back to our Vedanta, the first and the only and final material for the whole universe is Brahman, and therefore, supposing if Brahman is the ultimate source, and between Brahman and the Jagat there is another immediate source, how do you cross it? Supposing between water and the wave there is another barrier, how do you cross the water? Hey Rama, what a messy thinking. What a messy thinking. It is this messy thinking this author has handled. That's why even though some of the, because he shakes some of the established conventions to their roots. See, the institutions, the establishments are shaken to their roots. Therefore they don't want to hear about him. They don't want to hear about this. Why? Because that questions the taken for granted thinking, that everything is, we got two sources, the ultimate, the unchanged, vivarta upadana karanam and parinami upadana karanam. Brahman is the vivarta upadana, means what? Changeless source. And ignorance is the changing source, material. And this kind of thinking gets questioned. And now you are 60 plus, 70 plus, you don't want your thinking to be questioned. अभी जो हो गया अब चलते रहो. अब कहाँ बदलेंगे जी? 70 साल के बाद कहाँ बदलेंगे जी? 70 साल के बाद कहाँ बदलेंगे? छोड़ो, जो चल रहा है चलने दो. अगले जन्म में देखेंगे. What is there? In fact, even at the deathbed you correct your thinking, you are blessed. Ravana, such a big asura, world champion asura, when he died, he took the name of Rama with respect. He changed his thinking. Why not? What if one is old? To change one's thinking, you don't have to be young. One can be in ICU and then say, God, this is wrong. Be good enough. Reform at any time is welcome. Recognition of the wrong is welcome at any time. Therefore, even though this author is not, but when I first read it, I said, he's right. He's right. Then I was told, you are wrong. You are leaving the tradition and going away from the tradition, I was told. I said, if Mula Vidya is the tradition, I would like to be untraditional. If Mula Vidya is the tradition, I would like to leave it and go. I don't care. I can't, my vision can't accept material for the error. The material for the error can never be ignorance. The material for the error is the truth. And therefore here he says, what literature this man has written, Baba. What literature, Mandukya Rahasya Vivruti, amazing. Vedanta Prakriya Pratyabhijna, which was recommended for Nobel Prize. Then Mula Vidyavadis who were there sitting in the high positions, some of them, they said no. You understand politics? Do you think that Nobel Prize is free from politics? Hey Rama, because at the high positions. Won't work. He said, who is interested in Nobel Prize? He says, only I said one thing, I would like the students to enjoy Vedanta. And you will not enjoy Vedanta as long as you think the immediate source of everything is ignorance. You will enjoy Vedanta only when you think that the whole universe is another look of Brahman. It is an error, it is a distorted view of Brahman. Its immediate and final source is the truth, the subject. If rope is the only source of snake, then tracing the snake to the rope is interesting. Tracing the snake to ignorance is not. Therefore it says, Tadatra prakritam saprayojanam jadhyasu upuvarnanam vihaya aprakritam aprasiddham adhyasu upadanam ajnanam mudhaiva varnyate. This ignorance is unnecessarily brought in. This mula vidya is unnecessarily brought in. Mudha means in vain. Varnyate is described. Ignorance is posited in vain. And therefore, nishprayojanam, it is useless. Tavad vyakhyan, therefore. Their definition of ignorance is useless. Why? Ignorance is never. It never has its own identity. Ignorance is always in the form of non-recognition of an evident fact. That's all. Non-recognition of an experienced fact. Sense experienced or self-experienced, koi baat nahi. The whole science is what ji? They go on recognizing the evident physical facts. What looked round ji? The earth looked flat. Did the earth look flat or the earth ignorance looked flat? Earth looked flat. Earth was concluded flat. The earth was concluded flat because of ignorance of the fact that it is round. Or the ignorance of the earth looked flat. Ignorance is not a thing. What looks different is not ignorance. What looks different is the fact due to ignorance. Ignorance about Brahman doesn't look the universe. Brahman looks the universe due to ignorance about Brahman. Truth looks the universe. Brahman looks like you and me due to non-understanding. Therefore, this definition of ignorance is useless, he said. Now, Purvapakshi vehemently opposes. Aram se sun lijiye. Nanu, na aprakritam ajnanam. Sir, this mula vidya is not aprakritam, meaning it is not that it is not under discussion. It is under discussion. Ignorance is under discussion. Brahmajnana nibarhaniyataya tasyaiva sansutrana pratama sutre, because it is meant to be destroyed by Brahmajnana. Vedavyasa himself says in the first sutra, athato Brahma Jignasa, because he says you must gain Brahmajnana so that you can destroy the ajnana. And what is it that can be destroyed? An ignorance that is positively lying there, that can be destroyed. Brahmajnana nibarhaniyataya. Brahmajnana means Brahmajnana, nibarhaniyati means there is something to be destroyed. Tasyaiva means mula vidya kahi, sansutrana prathama sutre. In fact, the ignorance that Vedavyasa refers to in the first sutra, the ignorance that Vedavyasa refers to in the first sutra is none other than mula vidya. He is the destructible ignorance. Whereas, in fact, it is better that you all understand, to get this topic clear, right knowledge doesn't destroy. Right knowledge only corrects. And what is corrected is always mithya jnana. Right knowledge corrects the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge is not meant to destroy the positive ignorance. So when the right knowledge is there, wrong knowledge goes. When the wrong knowledge is not there, only right knowledge is there. There is no question of the absence of right knowledge being there also. Therefore, right knowledge never destroys anything. It corrects perception. Right knowledge corrects wrong knowledge, that's all. Right knowledge opposes the wrong knowledge. Right knowledge doesn't destroy a material thing. Therefore, anyway, the Purvapakshi here says, in the first sutra, Vedavyasa says that Brahmajnanam is meant to destroy the Mula Vidya, the material ignorance. I am going to call it Mula Vidya as the material ignorance. So you have to capture it. Because I have to get the language for this to convey. Material ignorance. Material ignorance means, the speculated material ignorance. Actually, ignorance is not material. It is more absence of right knowledge. Absence of right knowledge. Supposing I put my shawl like this, like this. What is it that conceals my face? Shawl, which is a material thing. Supposing I don't cover my face, and you close your eyes and see, and don't see. Is there any material? You close your eyes, so you don't see. But there is no veil on my face, there is no veil on my head. I am definitely not a Muslim woman. There is no veil, there is no gunga. And if you don't see is the ignorance. It is right there, it is evident, but you don't see. That is called ignorance. That is called ignorance. They are saying, no, there is a gunga and therefore you don't see. Whereas Vedanta says, there is no gungat on the truth. It is just that you don't turn your attention to it. That's all. You don't turn your attention to it. Not that there is a gungat on the truth. If truth has to have a gungat, what should be the size G? And it is very interesting. If Bhagwan has to have a gungat, he is Ananta. And where can you get the gungat? Ananta gungat. Which tailor is going to make? Ananta gungat. And is this? Funny. Nanuna prakrito jnanam brahmajnana nibarhaniyataya tasyeva sansutranat pradama sutra. To this Purvapaksha means to say, sir, in the first sutra of the Brahma Sutras, what Vedavyasa means is Mula Vidya. What Vedavyasa refers to is Mula Vidya. Napi aprasiddham. And the Purvapakshi says, it is not even aprasiddham. You said, the material ignorance is not prasiddham. He says, no. It is prasiddham. Napi aprasiddha. Aprasiddha nahi hai. Matlab prasiddha hai. Why? How is it evident? Tell me. How do you say that Mula Vidya is evident? He says, aham ajnaha, I am ignorant. Everybody says I am ignorant. Iti anubhavadeva. This is the ignorance. This is the experience. Tat prasiddhe. When everybody says, I am ignorant, it only refers to the positive layer of ignorance. Actually, when a person says, I don't know, it simply means I don't have the knowledge, not that I have something called ignorance. I am ignorant means I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the knowledge is the sense, not I have ignorance. I have ignorance, the tatparya means I don't have knowledge. But it does not mean, when it says, I don't have knowledge doesn't have the tathparya, I have ignorance. I have ignorance ultimately has to be interpreted to me, I have no knowledge. But I have no knowledge is never interpreted to me, I have ignorance. There is no such a thing called I have ignorance. I don't have knowledge. I don't have knowledge. Aham ajnaha means I don't have knowledge. Not that I have some material ignorance lying on the truth. There is darkness means what? There is no light, Pasiddhai. There is darkness means there is just some black thing lying here. Black thing, tangible black thing. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It is absence of light. Darkness should mean absence of knowledge. Ignorance should mean absence of knowledge. There is no evidence of presence of something. Because if darkness is a presence of something, I am telling you, then it would never allow the light to come. तो शत्रु हो जाएगा. Like love and hate fight with each other. Two opposite emotions have a friction. I think this will go home if you really think very deeply. Ignorance and knowledge are not a pair of opposites. Love and hate are a pair of opposites. They are dvandvas. And dvandvas exist within the realm of adhyasa. But ignorance and error are not dvandvas. But anyway, the Purvapakshi says here, sir, my Mula Vidya, the Mula Vidya, that is the material ignorance, is not unevident. It is indeed evident. How do you say that it is evident? Because everybody says, I am ignorant of the truth. When he says, I am ignorant of the truth, he is only referring to the ignorance. And that ignorance he takes it for granted as material ignorance. In the Purvapakshi takes it for granted. अहमज्ञः इति अनुभवादेव तत् प्रसिद्धेः अतएव न निष्प्रयोजनं तदुपवर्णनं. Purvapakshi says, hey Siddhanti, you said talking about this Mula Vidya is of no use. Why is not useful? Because the more you understand Mula Vidya, the more you can go for Brahma Vidya to destroy it. When you destroy the Mula Vidya, the Adhyasa gets destroyed. You see, the material. When the material is destroyed, the material for Adhyasa is destroyed, then the Adhyasa gets destroyed. You can't destroy Adhyasa at its own level. Therefore, you have to destroy its material. What is its material? Ignorance. Mula Vidya. Destroy the Mula Vidya, Adhyasa goes away. Therefore, talking about Mula Vidya is not useless. It is useful. It is who says? Purvapakshi. Eastern bird. Purvapakshi means what? स्वामी जी ये पूर्वपक्षी क्या है? एक माता जी ने पहले कहे थे, हम हमेशा कहते पूर्वपक्षी. ये पूर्वपक्षी कहाँ से आए हैं? Purvapakshi का मतलब the question है. Because between the question and the answer, the first is question, then comes the answer. Therefore, the question being before the answer is called Purvapakshi. The one who answers is called Uttarapakshi. Purvapakshi and Uttarapakshi are Siddhanti. You understand? That is called Purvapakshi. And they say Purvapakshi and Uttarapakshi. पूरब वाला पक्ष और उत्तर वाला पक्ष, दक्षिण वाला नहीं है, दक्षिण का पक्ष ही नहीं है, दक्षिण वाले सब सो जाते हैं. In fact, all the people in the south, to be very frank, when they get vairagyam, they gravitate towards the north. I don't know. There is something. They just gravitate to Uttarakhand, to Ganga. Something, there is something everywhere. Whether it is Gujaratis, even though those who are born on Narmada bank, they go to Gangaji. Later on they may go back again and settle down there. But to begin with, they just see the go to Himalayas. Therefore, the answer has to be Uttarapaksha. Now, इति अनुभवादेव तत्प्रसिद्धेः अतएव नानिष्प्रयोजनं तदुपवर्णनम् अध्यासकारणनिरूपणार्थत्वात् अध्यासनिरूपणकारणत्वात् मूलाविद्या has to be talked about in order to talk about adhyasa, because Moola-vidya is the material and Adhyasa is the made. You can't talk about the Adhyasa without talking about its material. We say the material for Adhyasa. According to Siddhantam, what is the material for Adhyasa? The truth, the Vastu. It is the truth that looks different. Why? Because truth is not understood due to lack of right knowledge about the truth. According to the Purvapakshi, what looks like the Jagat? Moola Vidya. Changing material ignorance looks like. Behind that ignorance is Brahman. Behind this universe is ignorance. Ignorance becomes the Jagat. So the Jagat's immediate material is ignorance. And behind the ignorance is Brahman. That means according to Moola Vidyavadi, this universe has two sources. One is Parinami Upadana Karanam, and Brahman is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. That means the snake that you see, how many sources it has according to Moola Vidyavadi? Two. The ignorance about the rope quickly transforms and stands as the snake. And behind that ignorance is the rope. So in order to destroy the snake, you have to destroy its material. And what is it that destroys the ignorance? Rope jnana. So when you come to know the rope, according to Moola Vidyavadi, rope knowledge destroys the material for the snake. We say no, the rope knowledge corrects the snake perception. That's all the difference. Rope knowledge corrects the snake perception. Why? Because it is the rope that looks like snake. Because it is a rope that looks like snake, rope knowledge corrects. According to them, it is a rope ignorance that looks like the snake. Therefore, rope ignorance has to be destroyed. In this manner, they say. But it has a lot of flaws. Don't think. Anyway, they also accept rope knowledge. That is true. But one thing is, you can never gain rope knowledge if you posit the truth behind ignorance. If there is any gap between the universe and the truth, you can never reach it. If there is any gap between If there is any gap between the wave and water, you can never reach water. All these points are there which may be heavy for you, but I can go on talking. These are very important for me. For me to talk them is very important. I find it something very, very profound about this. It's such a great tradition of Vedanta that the whole thing is nothing but the truth. Looking different, it is the truth. It is yourself. Everything is rooted in your being. Vedanta becomes interesting only when everything is an error about the truth. Nothing mystically. If you accept ignorance as the material, it becomes mystical really. You have to accept something unevidently. अध्यास कारण निरूपणत्वात् विदित कारणस्य अध्यासस्य समूलघाते प्रयत्नः सफलः इति the last sentence of the Purvapakshi. The next class we will do Siddhantam. Vidita karanasya adhyasasya. You will be able to destroy the adhyasa only when you know its material cause. Vidita karanasya means jiska karan malum ho. Vidita karanasya adhyasasya samula ghate, to destroy it along with its root. Prayatnaha safalaha. Your effort bears fruit. Your effort to destroy the adhyasa bears fruit only when you know what is its material, mula karana. And it is only when you come to know the mula karanam, the material source of adhyasa is avidya, then you can attack the ignorance. And when you attack the ignorance, the adhyasa also gets destroyed. Thus, the entire study they do, not to correct adhyasa, but to destroy ignorance. That is why they never reach the truth. Because the thinking must be to correct the wrong thinking, not by destroying something. Because correcting the error about the truth alone is the way of knowing the truth. Listen to this last point. So if your effort is not to correct the error, then you will never know the truth also. So you will be making eternal effort to destroy ignorance. You will say we will destroy ignorance by knowing Brahma, but you can never know Brahma except by way of correcting the error. So you are not working to correct the error, you are working to destroy ignorance. Destroy ignorance, no, we are not trying to destroy ignorance, we are trying to know Brahma. But the way to know Brahman is only one way, and that is to correct the error. So you are not making an effort to correct the error. That means what? Positing Mula Vidya, the material, makes understanding the truth impossible. I am telling you. Whatever they may say. Some people casually say, koi farak nahi, udhar idhar dono chal sakta hai. It's all wrong. To me, it is wrong. Accepting the material for the adhyasa is wrong. It's a blunder. Why? Because you cannot know the truth except by way of correcting the error. You cannot objectify the truth. Now, you say after destroying the material upadanam, ignorance, the error goes. That means there is a krama. What is the krama? You first destroy ignorance, then the error goes. And in order to destroy that ignorance, you have to know the Brahman. That means you have to know the Brahman even before the adhyasa gets corrected. How? Are you able to follow? How can you know the truth even before you correct the adhyasa? Because knowing the truth is only by way of correcting adhyasa. Do you see the flaw? If you accept Mula Vidya as the material for adhyasa, you had it. Even the people casually say because they don't mean much about anything, and they say, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, वो भी ब्रह्म मानते हैं, हम भी ब्रह्म मानते हैं, वो भी ज्ञान मानते हैं, हम भी ज्ञान मानते हैं, कोई फर्क नहीं। ऐसा थोड़ी है, दिस इज ऑल, ऐसा नहीं होता है। हाल द रोप स्नेक, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, उसका भी कुछ लेंथ है, इसका भी कुछ लेंथ है। Rope also is useful to hang oneself. Snake also is useful. ये क्या है? ये नहीं होता है जी। मूला विद्या is not another approach. It is a wrong approach, please. Moola vidya is not an alternative prakriya. Moola vidya is a wrong prakriya. When did it come? After Shankaracharya. Until Shankaracharya ji wrote their only adhyasa prakriya, then came Moola vidya. Somebody introduced it. Do you know who is that somebody? First of all, don't worry. Next week. Do you know who introduced it? Mr. Shani. How did he introduce it? These human beings, they say we will study Vedanta and understand the truth and moksha. Let me see how they can understand. Then he was born as some acharya and he introduced Moola Vidya. अब मरो, अब कुछ समझ में नहीं आएंगे. Because through Moola Vidya you can never know the truth. You will be living a life of sannyasa, but you can never enjoy Vedanta. Because you will be all the time fighting with Moola Vidya. Not. You will not even look at the universe as looking like the universe. You can't enjoy your life. Very depressing to think I am living in a realm of ignorance. It's very wonderful to think I am living in the realm of the truth. This is the truth. Looking different, so what? Looking different, so what?